Right, so welcome back to the Gaming Pantry, everybody. This is the Retro Bear. There you can see my hand, and there's my other hand as well. I've got two, yes. So we're back behind the camera once again, and we're going to do something slightly different today. Now, I mentioned this in a previous video I've done about, well, the best way to describe it, everybody at the moment seems to be, whoops, kicking the camera there, but I'm sort of hunched over the camera, so I'll be a bit careful with my feet this time, so apologies for that. Anyway, everybody at the moment seems to be doing the whole, I need to sell my collection, or I need to whittle down my collection bit, which is all very well and good. I don't have an issue with that. It's something that those of us who aren't doing it have thought about, and I must be honest with you, sometimes in those sort of darker moments you think, well, maybe that's the right thing to do. I don't know, is it, where prices are at the moment, is it a good time to sell? Probably is. Is there a good time to sell? There always seems to be a good time to sell. But what about those of us who have a collection which we want to carry on and sort of preserve? And this is what this video is going to be about, really, inspired by my very good friend Kieran over at Retro Reclaimer. He did a video a few weeks ago where he was talking about how he's going through his collection and fine tuning it. So where he's missing manuals, or where he's got ropey discs or boxes or whatever, he's making notes and doing a little sticker system so he knows in his collection what he's got to look for to try and upgrade copies he's already got of games. And I mentioned this in a previous video. I thought what a really good idea this is. I've sort of gone down the same route, but I haven't really started fine-tuning it. So I thought, well, what I'm going to show you here today is what I've started, to give you an idea of how I'm going to go, and quite precisely how far I've got to go, because there's an awful lot of stuff. Now, I'm focusing mostly on the disc-based media, because this is where people are reporting a few problems. You bought disc-based media. We all know over time that is going to degrade, particularly DVD stuff. Not so much the Blu-rays, not so much the last couple of generations of consoles. Certainly PlayStation 3, Wii U, PS4, Xbox One, blah blah blah. Onwards we go. That sort of stuff is okay, but we're going back to the DVD-based stuff. We're going back to PS1, Saturn, PS2, Xbox One, Xbox Original. Sorry, not Xbox One. Wii. Anything which has got a DVD, CD based is going to be prone to disc rot or whatever. And more so that over the years, perhaps you think you've been a bit cleverer than you thought you might have been. Oh yes, I don't collect games without manuals. I don't collect discs which look a bit ropey. Well, you actually realise when you go through your collection that you perhaps haven't been as diligent as you have. So this is what Kieran sort of put the seed in my head about. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing here. I'm going to do exactly the same thing. So what I'm going to do is give you an example of one game. Just one, because otherwise we'd be here for years doing this video. We could do probably a 365-day live stream. I'm not going to be doing that because I have to work for a living, unfortunately. So what I've done, I've started with the PlayStation 2 because I think probably that is maybe the biggest, or certainly the second biggest collection I have. And as with the PS2 and similar consoles from around that time, there's a lot of crap on it. Let's be honest with you, there is a lot of rubbish. And having gone through a lot of the stuff already, I've probably worked my way through, where have I, quite a lot. I've probably done maybe 300 games so far. So I'm maybe nearly around about the halfway point of what I've been doing. So I'll talk you through what I do to give you an idea behind that. But let's start with what the game we're going to be sort of dealing with. And it's the very, very first one that came off the pile, obviously, because it's the very first one. And this is 007 Quantum of Solace. Now, I can't remember where I got it from. I used to be quite diligent to remember what I paid for things back then. I wouldn't have paid much for this at all, probably £1. It's not the best copy in the world. There's a marking on the cover there. You probably can't see because of the light down here. I'll try and bring it a bit closer, but there's a bit of flaking on the plastic there at the top. There's a slightly sharp edge there which I just caught my finger on. It's not the greatest copy in the world. Okay. The case itself, I don't think is a particularly good case either. It feels a bit You know when you feel there's nothing to it. It feels a bit cheap. It feels a bit cheap than it should do. So the initial problem I know I'm feeling this already is that there's no manual with it. Okay, now it's an official PlayStation case, so I presume it is. He's got the PlayStation ID there, but there's no manual, so we're off to a bad start already. And then you look at the disc. Now you might not be able to see this probably. It's probably hard to say, but you can probably see it there. Yeah, you can see me talking behind. Hello, behind the camera. But there are, a lot of surface scratches. Now, I mean, I don't think there's anything there that worries me. A little bit, probably towards the middle here. There's quite a. There we can see. There's a little bit of an issue there. So I don't even know if that's going to play or not. There's some marking there as well across the other side. You can just see there. So a lot wrong with this. So what I would usually do in these situations is I put this down to go through the disc cleaner, and I'm not going to do that now because that would be rather silly. So I'm just going to give this. I can see there's a few thumbnail prints on it. I've got a little bit of fluid here, just enough, I think. And all this is like a distilled water. Mainly the filter's actually just got enough to do that. So I'll just give this a quick wipe over with the old microfiber just to take any fingerprints off it. I mean, what I would do with this is I would give this a good going over with the disc cleaner, and probably would take care of a lot of the surface scratches, and that would sort all that out. So yeah, it's taken some of the thumbnails off, but we've still got the scratching issue. So at the moment there, I'm looking at that and thinking, right, well, first things first, we have a not a great box. We don't have a manual, and the disc itself is going to be questionable. So I need to test the disc, which I will do shortly, and I will get that on film. We'll have a quick look at that and see if that goes for the PlayStation 2 and works. So generally speaking, this isn't a great condition game to start with. Now, in terms of how we are in cost-wise, I said I probably paid £1 for this. If I get my tablet out there, you might be able to see. I'll just make it a bit. There we go. So at the moment, CEX, I was using CEX as an example. I wouldn't take this usually as gospel, because you can probably get this game. If you went to a charity shop, you probably find it for £1. So I'm not taking this as gospel. At the moment, CEX will sell it for £2.50. They'll give you £80 voucher, £40p cash, 80p voucher, 40p cash, whatever. So in terms of it, it's not an expensive game to end up losing. So what I will then do is then go to my cataloguing system, which is called LibDib. I'll put a little link if there's an application below, and you can see here I've started to categorise system by collection. So rather than refresh it like a moron, there we go. There's nothing to refresh. It's a habit on these drag screens, isn't it? So I've got all systems down here where I've started doing things. I've got little numbers down the side here. You can't see very well from where you are, but I've just started doing this on and off and bits and pieces. I've probably done most of PlayStation 3, and it gives you like a running total down the side. So it also knows how many you've got in your collection. So there's a PlayStation 2, and the very first game we got at the top of the list. Oh, there's an error. Why is there an error? There's always an error when you want to use something properly, isn't it? There's always an error. Probably because I'm actually on the wrong Wi-Fi connection. There we go. So that's where I've started my list there. And then you can see the first one we've got at the top there is Quantum of Solace. So that's already logged on my collection. So if I went out anywhere at all, I could get this on my phone. And what I could do with that is I could scan the QR code in to see if I've got it or not. And it would come up saying, yes, you've got it. No, you haven't. And that would tell me whether I need to pick it up or not. So that's one side of the collecting. Now, move that out of the way. Going back to what Kieran was talking about, I have now procured, or Mrs. Bear has procured, some dots. Ooh, dots. Now, the idea with the dots is to put colours dots on the spine. Okay, so when I look on the shelf, I will know that by colour code I would need to, it's just like the camera from focusing there, I would therefore need to put a colour code for whatever I decide needs a manual and whatever I decide that needs a disc. So I'll put those on the spine there. So when I look at it on the shelf, I'll be able to see exactly where that needs doing. Now, concurrently to my collection list, which is on my tablet, which I can also get on my phone, I will also then keep a running spreadsheet. It's very technical, isn't it? It sounds really... It's like an Open University conversation, isn't it? Remember the only Open University that's still going? I don't know. It's like a lecture, really, isn't it? So I will then keep a spreadsheet of all the games where I need to upgrade. So if I'm out and about and I see a copy of that for £1, I know that if I check the disc and the disc is better, or I know there's a manual in there, or there's a generally better copy of it for £1, I will pick it up and I can move that one elsewhere. And that is the whole point with these dots. And these dots here, they're not 10mm, they're not 8mm, they're 6mm. And they're quite hard to get, apparently. And the idea is that eventually I will be able to look at a wall of games and I'll be able to see along here if it's a clean spine or there needs anything on there. Now, there might be subcategories and subcategories, but that's getting a bit silly. So that's it. Now, I mean, in terms of these dots here, there's about 400 on a sheet. So there's 1200 red dot, pink dots, and there's 1200 green dots. Now, I don't have 1200 PlayStation 2 games, and some of these PlayStation 2 games, incidentally, are in incredibly good condition. I've been through some already. Some of them haven't even been touched. You can tell. And you also find little bonuses or little differences rather than what you expect to find. And I'm just trying to remember, there's a couple of examples, but I haven't got them to hand. One PlayStation 2 title I found had got the proper box and a manual, but inside was the promo disc. So it was just a promo disc rather than the actual full price release. I don't think there's much difference between the two. The other one I found had a PlayStation 1 memory card in it, which I didn't know was in there. Not my memory card, somebody else's memory card, so I must have picked that up somewhere and didn't realise that there was a memory card in it. And there was another one as well, I think it's Need for Speed Underground, which I can definitely confirm I have Need for Speed Underground 1 and 2, but in the sequel, number 2, the manual inside is actually for the first game. I don't actually have a manual for Need for Speed Underground 2. Very, very strange. Yeah, so it's you know, it's a painstakingly strange process, and this is, you know, how one would like to spend winter nights. But obviously we're getting towards the summer now. But this is it. This is what you have to do, and this is more preserving the collection. We're trying to improve it. Now, I may come across games. I mean, that's not a bad game. Quantum of Solace. It's not bad. It's not great. I've played it. I've done some gameplay on the 360 version. It's tucked away on this channel somewhere. So it's not a bad game. Do I need it in my collection? No, I don't know. There are going to be games I'm going to find in there, in my PlayStation 2 collection, that aren't very good, aren't perhaps games that I'd want to keep. So the question is, do I want to upgrade them? Do I not want to upgrade them? And do I want to just move them on and get rid of them and thin the PlayStation 2 collection down? I may do that, I don't know. But it also goes to show that perhaps when I picked this game up a very, very long time ago, I wasn't as diligent as perhaps I like to be now, because most people know who watch me, and who watch me over the years, as this channel has taken on and my game collection has got bigger and bigger to the point now where it's literally too big, that all those years ago when I bought that, I wasn't concerned about having a manual. And I know I wasn't, because I used to say I don't really care about not having a manual or not. Now I won't even touch it if it ain't got a manual. And also with the disc, would I have allowed that disc in that condition to go into my collection? Or would I have looked at it and thought, well, I've got a hand disc cleaner, a manual hand crank disc cleaner, which I've shown before many years ago. If I'd known that I hadn't got much stuff in it, I'd have probably filled it up and given you a demonstration. Maybe I'll follow a video up in the future about how to do this. I don't know. So, yeah, it might have cost me £1. It's going to cost me £2.50 to get it back. So do I want to spend £2.50, or am I going to keep my eye out for a charity shop copy or a car boot copy or something like that? I don't know. But I know that at some point in the future, that game is going to need to be replaced with a better version, a better disc and a manual. But does the disc work? This is the key thing. So what we'll do now is we'll switch to the television and we'll see if this works. And if it does work, then we don't need to replace the disc. Maybe give it a buffing out. Hopefully it'll be okay. We'll have to see. So, there'll be a short interlude while we switch the room around, and then we'll have a look at the disc and see if it works in the PlayStation 2. So I'll be back with you momentarily. Right, so hopefully I've unplugged anything, and you can all still see what's going on. Yeah, there we are, and you can just see me. Where are we? There we are, I'm there. Hello. Right, so you can see me now. So we've got the PlayStation 2 turned on. So now I've had to use the silver PlayStation 2 because I know this one probably is a lot better at reading discs than my black one. And it's quite scratched, this one, so it'll be interesting to see if this comes out. Like I said, I haven't put it through the cleaner or anything like that. It's still in the state I showed you earlier. So we're just going to see if this runs through and it recognises the disc. It's a good start. There we go, PlayStation 2. So it looks to me as if this could well be a worker. Or not. Well, it seems okay. There we go. No control. Oh, God, have I got to insert a controller? Ugh. Right, hang on a second. Ugh. Right, finding a controller, which is harder than it should be. Right, just bear with me a second. Well, the good thing is it reads the disc, so that's fine. We're using the old PlayStation 2 Silver controller, which I've got. It's got some cash converters. When you get 25 quid I paid for it, I think it was. A console with a controller, 25 quid. That was a bit of a bargain, that was. Oh no. Right, we've tangled all the wires. Ah, there we go. Right. Oh, there. Right, put that in. That's now plugged in. We've got the light on. There we go. Oh, so we can actually play 60 Hz on this one. Memory card is not inserted. Yeah, we'll just go with that. There we go. Now, be careful we don't get so there we go. Just mute that a second because I've got a feeling we may get some James Bond related music coming out, which I don't want to hear. There we go. And there's the MGM Lion. Apologies for the picture. I am just taking you know. It might have been worth me just sticking it through the computer, but I thought, well, I better not. But at the moment, everything seems to be fine. So the game is working and loading as it should do. So the question is on that one, do I really need to change the disc? Probably not. The disc is a little bit scratched, but I'm not really bothered about that. Does it give me... That's going to be a list of people, isn't it? Yeah, I don't really want to see that, do I? So let's new game. Let's just see. Easy. Yes, we need easy option. So it looks like it's absolutely fine. So there we go. So if it starts loading, great. Now, I mean, that doesn't say there's going to be a problem further on down the line with it. Also, the other question is, am I really going to sit down and play this for a lot longer than I'm going to be doing or not? I don't know. But yeah, I mean, it looks as if it's working. I mean, there's no strange sounds coming from the disk drive, no skipping or anything like that. So I think, generally speaking, this may be a winner. Yeah, so I'm happy with that. I'm well happy with that, which is good. So maybe this is just a manual replacement. But the question is, do I now go down the route of, do I need to change the disc as well, just in case? That's going to be a decision I'm going to have to make. Also, with any disc like that I have in my collection, which is obviously quite a lot, and don't forget there's a Wii collection, a PlayStation 2 collection, Xbox, PlayStation 1, so there's so many different systems to go through. I could be here for a very, very long time going through them all. But I don't know. Anyway, I hope you found that interesting. And I may do a follow-up video where we look at some of the other stuff as well and just see how we go on from there. One collection I haven't actually done so far is my PlayStation 2, because it's 700 odd games. It's going to take quite some time to sort out. So I don't know whether we'll do that going forward, but let's see how we get on. Anyway, if you have enjoyed that, don't forget to have a check through some of the other stuff on this channel. It's a bit of a hodgepodge of certain things and games and game-related stuff, which you may find interesting. There's also some other media on there as well. You can subscribe, you can leave me a comment, you can thumb it up, and you can tick the notification bell. It's entirely your choice. There is no obligation to. It's nice if you do, but if you don't, then that's your choice. No problem at all. Shan't hold it against you. But yeah, so hopefully back in front of the camera sometime soon. But until that next time, this is the Retro Bear saying thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you again soon. But until then, bye bye.